Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I'm going to be interviewing a comedy legend. He's an actor, but he's been playing comedy roles his whole career, and he's one of the greats. He's another cast member of Not Necessarily the News. I had Lucy Webb on the show the other day. Today, I'm interviewing the star of the show and the man himself, Stuart Pankin. I can't wait. This is going to be so great. The guy was a huge part of my childhood. I watched him on that show and so many movies, and he's a really funny guy, really good actor. Guy has just an amazing background of training and career. It's very profound, and I'm actually quite surprised. He said yes today for this interview, and I'm really excited. It's going to be really awesome, and it's going to be. I'm at a loss for words because Stuart Pankin said yes to me. It's going to be so awesome, and we're going to do the interview in just a moment. But I just want to say, yeah, I'm so lucky with all the people I can get on this show, and it's 189 episodes starting right now, and I'm just so lucky with the guests I get that I can't tell you how great it is. And okay, I've said enough about that. Here is my interview with Stuart Pankin.
Good morning.
Hey, Stuart, it's Tommy. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I could not be better, Tommy. Thank you.
Great. Oh, it's such an honor because I've always thought of you as one of the greats in comedy roles, and I just appreciate you taking the time this morning, sir.
Well, it's a pleasure. Now, I think you've said everything we need to say, so good night.
uh, so, did you know at an early age you wanted to be an actor?
Well, I knew I used to play around and perform as a kid in front of my family.
Right.
But in college, I kind of knew it. I was going to be a psychology major, but then the casting notice came up for a play in college, and I walked across a dark, scary campus to audition, and then I kind of knew. I kind of knew that that's what I want to do, and I never looked back.
Nice. Were there any actors that influenced you
What now, or when I was a kid?
when you were a kid? Movie stars?
Not. I mean, there's a difference between influencing, I guess, and enjoying. I enjoyed a lot of the old time movies and movie stars. I mean, the Spencer Tracys and Jimmy Stewarts and
Right.
James Cagney. But influence, no. I think I probably. I mean, I did a lot of comedy. Ended up doing a lot of comedy, but I didn't. I mean, I guess I liked Jerry Lewis and Milton Berle when I was a kid, but I don't think influence is too strong. I can't pin that appellation on any one person.
Well, you named certainly the best of the best, and nobody since those guys has even come close, I think.
Right on, my brother.
So you went.
But there's a lot of good actors out there now. As far as a guy who tries to get work, there's too many good actors, and I mean that sincerely. There's a lot of good actors out there, and not that many jobs. So I mean, but the old guys were spectacular.
Yeah. And, plus they had the advantage of, there was a lot more work back then and there was no internet, and they used that to their advantage.
Oh, as a character actor, most of my life, you look back at the Preston Sturges days and the Frank, who directed? Forgive me, Tommy. Don't get old because you're gonna have a big problem. I mean, the movies in those days, in the '50s, '40s, '50s, had. I mean, I'm exaggerating maybe, but 12 great character actors and a pretty man and a pretty woman.
Right.
And that's what they did. I mean, if you look back at those movies, you're going to see some great character people. And you're right, without the internet or without the, Netflix, and that's where they worked, and they worked all the time. So it was kind of a great era for character people.
That certainly was. Frank Capra movies, John Ford, all those guys.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
So you went to Dickinson College and Columbia University,
I did.
and then did you go to New York?
Yes. I was living with my parents during college, and they moved. My dad moved to New York to get to work, so I moved with him. And I kind of knew from college I was going to go to Columbia, so that worked there. Well, I auditioned for NYU. They didn't want me. Columbia did, and those are the two acting schools that I think I was really interested in. And Columbia was great. I mean, so yeah.
And you.
That's it. When I moved to New York, it wasn't to be an actor. It was to study acting.
Mm-hmm. But you did a lot of plays, including The Crucible.
Right. That was at Lincoln Center.
Mm-hmm. Was that a good experience?
All of that Lincoln Center stuff was great. I was a journeyman at the time. I think before that, I was literally a spirit carrier for 2 seasons at the New York Shakespeare Festival. I mean, literally carrying these 8-foot spears and understudying some really nice parts and nice people. And I got to do a few rehearsals. And then Lincoln Center came along, and they called us journeymen. We were young kids, and they sort of gave us classes that didn't mean much. But you got to be in these plays and either have an understudy again, some great people, and have the rehearsals for the understudy rehearsals, which give you a chance to work out your chops. And yeah, nice people. I mean, Richard Klein, who is still a friend, was a spirit carrier there, and I still keep in touch with some of them, not a lot. But yeah, it was a terrific experience, and also I could walk. I could walk there from my house because it was just 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
Which is why I took the job. No, that's not true.
Yeah, it's the advantage of living in New York. There's always these walking distances over there, I've heard.
Well, when you're young, distance isn't that important. I mean, even walking to take a bus or a subway isn't important. I mean, I took a bus or subway to Columbia, every day for 3 years. So it was nothing. You don't even think about it.
Mm-hmm. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
So when did you move to LA?
Moved to Los Angeles in 1977 to do Aaron Spelling's first and last attempt at hour-long comedy called the San Pedro Beach Bums.
Yeah.
And that turned, there was the San Pedro Bums, and then it turned into a series for 10 episodes called the San Pedro Beach Bums, and that's what got me out here, for better or for worse. I mean, the old story is when you're an actor in New York, you say, geez, how can I get out to California and do film and television? And when you're in California, you say, geez, how can I get back to New York and do plays?
Yeah. I've seen clips of the San Pedro Beach Bums on YouTube, and wow, it's a true '70s show if ever there was one.
Oh my God, yeah, it's silly and '70s. It was silly and '70s, the 2 S's.
I see John Ritter's first wife, Nancy Morgan, was on there.
Nancy was, she was a regular on that. We still keep in touch, and I'm kind of friendly with their kids too. So it's nice. It's been a long, nice relationship. I mean, we don't camp out together, but it's nice to have those old relationships.
Oh, absolutely. The camaraderie of Hollywood that still lingers from the '70s, but in my generation, it's just so antiquated.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Oh, you're a baby. Yeah, well, when I came out to California in the '70s, it was the era of among other things, the stand-up comic. I mean, apparently there were
Yep.
tons of VHSs in those days on the desks of all ages trying to get stand-ups. There's shows. I mean, series. That was, that's what they did. I was never a stand-up, so that didn't concern me. But luckily, after the San Pedro Beach Homes finished, ended, I got a deal, Universal, a development deal at Universal, which kept me here. We still had our apartment in New York, but it kept me here for another year.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to work, and then not necessarily the news came on, and then I just, stayed forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of stand-up comedy, I've been a stand-up comedian for 12 years, and
Where?
yeah,
Where?
San Francisco, yeah,
Wow. Cool.
yeah. And your this one movie you did that I loved, The Hollywood Knights, had a lot of stand-up comedians in it. Robert Wall, Joey Kamen, Mike Binder, T.K. Carter, and stuff. Yeah, that's. I couldn't turn on HBO without seeing that movie back in the late '80s.
Really, where are my residual checks? I didn't know it was on TV that often.
Oh yeah, it was. What was that experience like?
Again, I mean, whenever people ask me what's your experience with Colin, for the most part, it's all been extremely positive. There's rarely a time when there was any kind of problems or contretemps, as we say in Italian, with actors or directors and stuff. It was great. I mean, Hollywood Knights. Let's see. It was shot. It was night. It was night shoots for a month,
right?
Which was tough. So you get home at 7 o'clock in the morning and you try to sleep. But again, you're younger, so it doesn't. It was okay, and a lot of nice people, interesting experiences. It's hard to pick out anything specific, but it was pleasant to show up to work. It was pleasant to interact with the cast. Michelle Pfeiffer was one of her first movies.
Right.
I actually saw her a year later or something in a movie theater, and I said, I loved you in Hollywood Nights. And she had now by this time become, much more than that. And be like, what? Hollywood Nights? But yeah, Hollywood Nights was, and when people recognize me, a lot of it, besides Dinosaurs, is Hollywood Nights. People seem to really enjoy that quote, off-color cult movie.
Yeah. I'm surprised Tony Danza was in it, because he was doing Taxi at the time. And Joyce Heiser, I've had her on the show twice. She said she had a blast making the movie.
No, it was great. It was interesting, all those cars and rushing up and down the streets and just doing a month of night shooting. I've never done quite anything like that. I had a lot of night shooting, but not like that. It sort of changed your circadian rhythms and maybe my mental health.
Oh. Yeah. And then we get to the classic HBO sketch comedy series, not necessarily the news.
I remember that.
How did that irreverent classic show come to you?
Well, it's a long story. You got some time?
Oh, yes, I do.
Well, when we were going back to audition for the San Pedro Bums, there was a guy, Michael Jacobs. Not necessarily. Yeah, Michael Jacobs was auditioning for a part. He didn't get it, but he remembered me. And then years later, he put me into a show called No Soap Radio, which didn't last a long time, but was a very interesting show. And one of the co-writers on that show was Ron Richards, who then became a writer for not necessarily the news. When a spot opened up, Ron asked me if I wanted to audition for it. I said, sure.
Right.
And I did, and I got the job, and I thought I made a huge mistake because in the early days, you literally dressed and made up in bathrooms, of gas stations. I mean, that's literally what happened. Or the girls would get out and change their costume behind open doors of their cars, and you'd sit on the rocks out there. It was kind of, commando film at the time, and the money was not great. But and I said, oh, geez, maybe I should have done it. But now, looking back on it, it was 6 great years, or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 6 great years of friendships, which I still have. Danny Green, unfortunately, the great Danny Green.
Yeah.
He passed away last year.
Yeah.
Spoke at his memorial, and that was sad. But Danny and Annie and Mitch. And even Lucy occasionally, we still keep in touch with each other and see each other.
That's great. Yeah, you all had great chemistry. I think Rich Hall, to me, is one of the most underrated performers ever, because he can do everything.
Yeah, I think he's in England now doing more. I think he lives in England now.
Yeah, he's in England, and he tours doing his stand-up comedy, and yeah, he can do everything. I mean, he's just so talented, that guy.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I told this to Lucy the other day. I said to her, the show was so irreverent that you guys kept it clean on a network where you could have been raunchy, but you chose not to.
You take the words out of my mouth. That's exactly one of the things that I say that I'm among a lot of other things proud of, that we had the option to be off color and nudity and bed. We didn't do it. I mean, and that's John Moff and Pat Lee. I guess they made an existential decision not to do that, and I'm glad we didn't, because I never think that. I mean, I think it's easy. I think it's cheap and easy to be able to go there for a laugh.
Mm-hmm.
To stand up. I don't know. Maybe I'm insulting. Maybe you do, off color stuff. But it's just I'd rather not. I'd rather not see it, and I'd rather not do it. Not that I'm a prude. I run around naked all the time. It's just that it would be when you have limitations like that you shouldn't and couldn't or wouldn't do bad language and stuff. It opens up the creative channels. You got to go someplace else, and often they're much better and much richer.
Yeah, all comedy is subjective. Some people like this kind, that kind. But
Well, my father used to say, "There's no dirty jokes. There's just a good joke and a bad joke."
Yeah, that is true. Depending on the content, the context, all that.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree. George Carlin even said that in his stand-up. You can make a joke out of anything, but it all depends on how you construct it.
Right. Well, that's great.
Yeah, he was one of the greats, and he was right to say that.
Yeah.
I like how the show also had this kind of public access look to it, because it looked like a real news station.
Well, the fact is, a lot of the clips were real news footage. They used to they used to go on ABC, and the footage, I forget the name, what they called it, but it was stuff that wasn't in the broadcasts. And there were hours of it every day,
Mm-hmm.
and our writers used to pour over it and get stuff that's absolutely real footage and put it on the show. Another nice thing we did is we never put words in the mouths of the people that were on the show, like Reagan or any of the politicians that were on the show. We never put words in their mouth. We always did the script, the sketches around what they actually said. Kissinger, I did a whole scene with Kissinger once, and it was just what he said, and they wrote a sketch around it.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments. It still kills me every time I think about it. I looked for it on YouTube. I couldn't find it. I remember when I was a kid, I'm watching the show. I see Reagan and Bush in the audience of something, enjoying themselves, and then you look, and it's a rap concert.
Yes.
I love that.
We did stuff like that. Well, I didn't do it, but the writers did it an awful lot. They were very, very clever, and they worked. They worked hard. There were a lot of writers on our show, which is one of the reasons that it's never repeated because, well, I mean, the Writers Guild. We had tons of writers, including Conan O'Brien,
Right?
and it would be just too expensive to run them because every writer would have to be paid for every show.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, I don't exactly know the details of that, but people ask all the time, "Why don't you run? Why don't they rerun it? Why don't they put it on? Whatever." And I say, "I can't afford it."
I know, that's sad. That's
Yeah, a
really
little bit.
it's really sad. And I remember too, you and Ann Bloom and Danny Green, you were in this movie I used to watch called The Dirt Bike Kid.
Oh yeah, directed by Hoyt Casson, who was one of our directors on Not the News.
Yeah, I love that movie. You guys shot that in Texas.
Shot in Texas, Dallas. Yeah, again, great. It was great being with Annie and Danny. Danny had a husband at the time, and he sent her a coffee maker.
Mm-hmm.
And when my wife Joy called the hotel to talk to me, and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, he's not answering his phone." He said, "Well, why don't you ring Annie Bloom's room?" And inevitably, the three of us were in there having coffee in the morning.
Yeah, I was looking on Facebook. The guy who plays the biker leader, Big Slime, in the movie,
Yeah.
Weasel Forshaw, he died in the mid-90s, really young, and his son has a Facebook page dedicated to him.
Wow.
Yeah, Weasel Forshaw.
Wow. Well, that's sad.
Yeah, and at the time he died, he was a regular on Chuck Norris's show, Walker, Texas Ranger.
A regular, huh? Wow, I did
Yeah. Oh, you also did An Eye for an Eye with Chuck Norris.
Right, right, right. I enjoyed that a lot too.
Is he good to work with?
Great, great. Very, pleasant, pleasant man, and he never hurt me, never hit me.
He doesn't have an ego like a lot of the action stars do.
I guess not. Look, I'm not going to claim that we're buddy buddies, but the couple of times that we worked together was he remembered me from Dick Walker, Texas Ranger, after An Eye for an Eye, and he remembered me, and he was very, very pleasant.
Hmm.
I certainly admired his martial arts chops. I mean, he's remarkable.
Yeah, he's one of the greats of the greats. Are you just astounded at how much of an impact that Fatal Attraction had at the time and how it still has it?
Um, I'm happily pleased and amazed at the staying power of that show. I mean, I knew it was good when we were doing it. I didn't realize the impact, as you say, that it would have, and the staying power that it had. It's great. It's a very good movie.
Hmm.
Very good movie. And Adrian Lyne, you gotta give him most of the credit for his vision and his direction and it's a terrific movie. And again, I'm grateful to him because I was doing something in Canada, and before I left for Canada, I auditioned for Fatal Attraction
Hmm.
with him, and it was a wonderful audition. It was almost an improvisational audition in California.
Hmm.
And then I went away, and I got a call saying that they wanted me to do the Fatal Attraction. And I said, great. And it turned out that he fought for me because they shot it in New York.
Hmm.
Producers, who later I became, friendly with, Sherry Lansing and Stanley Jaffe, they said, well, why don't you get a guy from New York? I mean, he's right there. And Adrian, God bless him, said, no, I want Stuart Pankin. And they
Hmm.
literally flew me in once or twice a week from California, because I was doing Not Necessarily the News, put me up. I shot my scene for a day or two, came back, flew back, came back, flew back. And I'm incredibly grateful to him for fighting for me and standing up for me. And it was, again, younger, didn't mind the hours and the time. But it was a wonderful experience working with Michael and Ann Archer. And my wife, who will kill me for not remembering her name, but she's great. Yeah, it was a terrific experience. It was a terrific experience. And sort of even when I was in the scenes, watching him work, watching Adrian Lyne work, and he really molded and shaped scenes and actors. It was exciting.
Yeah, I think it was a good movie. It kind of pigeonholed Michael Douglas because he ended up doing similar movies like Basic Instinct and Disclosure. He kind of got I don't know if typecast is the right word, because he was a major star, but maybe typecast would be a word for that though. But I think
I don't think he cares.
yeah, I don't think
Actually,
so
a
either.
nice adjunct thing is that a month after we did the movie, he was trying to put on an improvisational um, battle of the improvisational companies together, and he asked me and Rhea Perlman, because he's real good friends with Danny DeVito,
Hmm.
come and do the pilot, and I did it, and I was really happy that he called me to do that. Even at the last time, I never heard from him. He never writes, he never calls, never sent money, nothing.
And that pilot didn't get picked up.
Oh no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, Rhea Perlman had Cheers at the time, anyways.
Yeah, none of those guys have gone wanting.
Yeah. Another movie you did that I loved as a kid is Second Sight.
Oh, Second Sight. Yeah, I loved it a lot. It was one of the first times that my wife and my son could come to we stayed about 10 weeks in Boston doing that movie. It was during the writer's strike, so there was a lot of rewriting and blah blah blah. But it was great, Bronson and John Larroquette. Again, enjoyed waking up and going to work every day.
And yeah, Bess Armstrong is in it.
This is in it. We became very good friends for a while after that. John Shuck.
John Shuck, one of the greats. Yeah.
Great. He's great. I worked with him before. He's terrific.
James Tolkien.
James Toback?
Tolkien.
Tolkien. James Tolkien. Terrific.
That's a great cast. but it's sad it didn't work out. I think it's a pretty funny movie.
I think it's funny too. The problem was, I think, and not pointing fingers, the original script by the guy who wrote Dead Poet Society. It was really good, and I won't name names, but there was too much tinkering on it because the writer's strike was on, and the
Right.
writer couldn't be there to check it out. And so there was a lot of tinkering going on, and it sort of hurt the movie a little bit. But as far as an actor, I really enjoyed doing it.
And that was Jules Wick's first theatrical movie.
I think you're right.
Because he did
You're right.
because he did sitcoms going back to the late '70s, and then he did My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which was a huge hit.
Wow, you know your stuff. Yeah, I did Girl Meets World with him. That's the last time I worked with Joe, 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, the it's kind of a reboot, right, of Boy Meets World.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Well, get on it, man.
I don't know. Reboots kind of turn me off.
Yeah, believe me, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. But as an actor, it's always great to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you did Mannequin 2 on the Move.
Yes, in my hometown of Philadelphia. That didn't work out so great, but again, nice experience. Going back to Philadelphia, seeing my mother. Yeah, I mean, and what's Mannequin 2 with
Billy Ragsdale and Christy Swanson.
Billy and
Christy Swanson.
Christy and
Terry Kaiser.
Terry Kaiser. Yes, Terry.
I met him last year at a convention. Very nice man.
Yes. Again, I haven't kept up with him, but while we're there, like when you do a movie, every time you think, and I often try when I'm finished with a movie, like with John and Chuck, and we'll get back home and we'll ask him over to dinner, and then it sort of peters out because you just don't have that many shared experiences.
Yeah.
It's always like you're the best of friends when you're on the set, which makes it real pleasant. Again, I've never had a fight with anybody
That's
that I
good.
haven't called Chuck Norris to take care of.
Yeah. I like the original better, but Terry Kaiser, he steals the show, I'll tell you.
Who does?
Terry Kaiser.
Terry Kaiser, yeah. He's great. He's great.
You're great in it, too.
Oh, sure. Getting out of that one, are you?
No, you're great in everything I've seen you in.
Thanks, Doc.
My pleasure. How did you get so lucky to be in a movie with Mel Brooks in Life Stinks?
That's another interesting story. Again, you got some time?
Yes.
I read for a movie called Mr. Christmas Dinner, where some cannibals try to get a heavy guy, they lure him to their house and eat him. It was written by Pat Proft, who's done all those O.J. Simpson movies, Police Academy movies, and
Yeah.
he's great. So we're at a restaurant once, and Pat Proft comes up to us and said, you read for Mr. Christmas Dinner. As the writer, I really want you to do it, but they went with it was directed by Tony Perkins. He said, Tony went with somebody else. And I said, I know exactly who you are. You wrote When Things Were Rotten. Mel Brooks is When Things Were Rotten.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, come to, he had a great Christmas party every year, so I came to the Christmas party. I had to make a short story real boring. I met Rudy DeLuca there.
Right.
Rudy DeLuca is Mel's friend and his writer and blah, blah, blah. And Rudy said, well, come on, we're auditioning for a movie Mel's doing, Life Stings. Come on in. And that's how I did that. I mean, it was, again, these tangential things that come together, that make things happy. And I ended up working with Mel in another movie he did called The Vagrant.
Yep.
Then I did Mad About You when he was a guest star. And Life Stinks was, he was a director, he was a producer, he was the writer, he was the star.
A lot of hats.
Huh?
He wore a lot of hats on that movie.
A lot of hats. And it was actually done in Los Angeles at the time, the hottest period of, it was tough. It was a tough shoot because we had some outdoor shooting and even inside was tough. But again, Mel was great to us. And yeah, it's not one of his great movies, but he put his heart and soul into it. And a lot of great people, and Jeff Tambor, who I still, keep in touch with.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a funny movie though. I love that part where Mel Brooks and Rudy DeLuca are having an argument about who's richer.
Yeah, and the nice thing, a thing that I remember, maybe it's toot my own horn, but it was a scene between me and Rudy, and it just seemed short, and I said to myself, and maybe Rudy,
Oh
let me
yeah.
write something. Let me write something. I think I got a hook on this.
Oh
And
yeah.
he wrote this much longer scene when I say something, he repeats it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, and then we did it. We shot it that way, and then we shot it the other way. And Rudy said, Mel's very protective of his material. I don't think it's going to get in the movie. And it got in the movie. We saw it at dailies, and people were laughing, and it ended up in the movie. So I'm kind of proud of that. But
Yeah.
you don't. I wrote a song for Life Stinks actually that the writers really like. But again, Mel is very proprietary, and he should be because he's a genius
Yeah.
about his material. And that never got in. But I recorded it, and I play it once in a while and cry.
Wow. Do you remember any of it right now?
I remember a lot, but I'm not going to bore you with it.
Okay.
I'll give you. It was something like, "You're eating from garbage. You live in a box. Life stinks. Life stinks. Your dress is a rag, and there's crud in your socks. Life stinks. Life stinks." And it goes on. You cry. You cry on that thing, and you cry in the rain, and life is as bad as can be. But I've got a mansion and cash in the bank, so what does it matter to me? It goes on and on like that.
Oh.
My favorite lyric of that song was, "You want to take your life. You want to sink. You want to sink in the earth, but the gutter is. You want to crawl in the earth, but the gutter is low as you sink." So that's one of my favorite lyrics.
Yeah. It would have been perfect for the movie.
Well, it would have been good, but look, I'm just happy to do the movie.
Yeah. It's and Mel's a genius.
He is. Guaranteed.
I used to watch Dinosaurs when I was a kid, and it's very ambitious and very ahead of its time. And now it's become kind of iconic.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't last and stuff. How did you get that?
It's interesting. Again, Michael Jacobs. He remembered me from San Pedro Beach Bums. He put me in No Soap Radio. And then when the call came out, he called me in to audition. I auditioned for it. And it's kind of nice because every actor in Los Angeles auditioned for it because it's a great job. You can come to work in your underwear and you do the thing, on microphone and you leave. And it took us about 16 hours, 2 days to do the pilot. And then when you did the show, it was about a kind of a long 8-hour day. And that's how I got that, through Michael Jacobs.
Wow. Yeah, I do a joke in my stand-up where I say you're never going to hear about a voiceover actor having a Me Too experience because they go to the studio in their underwear.
Yeah. Well, again, good cast, interesting set. One of the most interesting, sets around. Built up 5 feet up, and the puppeteers are underneath, and the guy Bill Barreto, who was inside Earl, sorry, is now a head honcho at the Henson Company.
Wow.
Really well for him. Never writes. He never calls.
I forget, was that a Disney show?
It was a Disney show, ABC Disney.
Yeah, I figured it was. I remember one time I saw you play a sleazy car salesman on Family Matters.
I remember.
Yeah, Honest Bob.
Honest Bob, yeah.
Yeah, what's her name? Kelly Shanae Williams had to pretend to be a guy because Honest Bob was sexist.
I don't. You remember more than I do. Is that what happened? She came in dressed as a guy.
Yeah, she had like this fake mustache and everything.
Wow, you're good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't remember a lot of that, but again, I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed the cast and the people. Was Barry Jenner a regular or semi-regular on that show?
Yeah, he was Carl's boss, Lieutenant Murtaugh.
Yeah, well, Barry and I became, not from that necessarily, but we were in Poker Brothers for 25 years before he died, so we became really good friends.
Yeah, that.
Which is strange because I never had any scenes with him, but it happened to work out.
Yeah, he was really funny on that show. Like every time he was on screen, I would just laugh and laugh, just playing this this police lieutenant who doesn't have a clue, you know.
He's great.
Yeah. And I also remember you did a TV movie, and I actually had it on tape. It was called Down, Out, and Dangerous.
Yes, yes, we did that in San Diego. I remember
Richard Thomas,
John David, Richard Thomas, John Davison,
Bruce Davison.
Bruce Davison, sorry, and there was a girl who was great, and I don't remember her name, but that's par for the course. Yeah, that again, fun. I got to be killed. I got to be knocked out by Bruce Davison and killed by
Richard Thomas.
So you can't ask for more.
Yeah. Richard Thomas, he is so great at playing scary bad guys against his John Boy image.
Yeah, they're all terrific. I mean, Bruce Davison is a class act, and so
Yeah, I met Bruce Davison at a convention a couple of years ago. He was a really nice man.
yeah, we still run into each other occasionally, and you know, it's very pleasant. Again, like we don't live together, but it's nice to run into once in a while.
Yeah, he's a working actor, and it's amazing that his career is still going. He does so many movies and TV shows a year. That guy.
He actually did something. I forget the show, but he played a cop, and I thought he was remarkable. And actually, because we're Facebook buddies, and I sent him a note telling him that I just thought it was a terrific performance. I like to compliment actors. If I see character actors around town that probably nobody, might recognize anymore, I'll go out of my way to compliment them because I know I would like to do that. I saw Nick Nolte the other day walking around, and I had done a tiny part in a movie called I Love Trouble.
Yeah.
He was very nice to me, very nice to me. And I went up to him and I said, Nick, we did I Love Trouble 125 years ago. I'm such a big fan. And he was real happy. He's real happy. I hope if people do it to me, I would love it, and I try to do it to other people.
That's good. You seem very supportive and not competitive in any way.
No, I will kill another actor to get a part, but if I happen to see him on the street, I'll compliment him.
Oh, that's good. It's you balance it the best of both worlds.
Absolutely right. And the motto is don't get caught. I'm joking.
Oh my God. So, do you have any upcoming projects?
Just a play. I might do a play in January. I've been doing a lot of plays at the Santa Monica Playhouse. But as far as film stuff, no. Mostly now, I like to hang around the house. I'll do web shows for friends if they ask me to do it, or independent films with friends if they ask me to do it. But, for the most part, and the operative word is if they ask me to do it. If anybody asks me to do it, I'll do it. But right now, I sort of enjoy theater. That was my background.
Mm-hmm.
I love being on the stage, and so that's what probably I'll do in January. A play in Santa Monica.
That's good. Yeah, I'm planning on moving to Los Angeles at some point next year and stuff. Should come check you out in theater.
Where do you live?
Right now, I'm living in Reading. This is come down here to just clear my head and write and everything.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'm trying to move to Los Angeles. I've been trying for 18 years since I got out of high school, but it looks like it might happen next year, definitely.
Great. Well, congratulations and good luck, because it's tough up here. It just is.
Yeah, but
maybe stand-up you can make your own way, but for actors who depend on agents and jobs, it's hard.
Yeah, but you got to know the right people, and it's all about connections.
It is, and you got to be lucky, because you just do.
Yes.
Lots of times I'll get you in the door, but sometimes then you got to perform, and even if you're great, somebody's cousin gets the job. So that's the truth. It's there's 95% unemployment in SAG-AFTRA, so it's tough. Every time somebody says, "Well, you should teach," and I said, "I can't in all conscience stand up in front of a class of young kids and tell them to go into show business. I mean, if you have to, like I did when I was young, then you're going to do it. But I don't want to be complicit."
Well, you could teach them, the craft that you learned. You can pass that on to them, then maybe once you're done teaching those techniques, then you can teach them the business side.
Wow, that's good job? You know, that's the one thing in Columbia when I was there for my master's degree. They never dealt really with the business side. I mean, they sort of left us hanging. So knowing the business is tough, but I'm not sure I'm the one to teach them the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a whole other thing as far as agents and managers and auditions and classes and agent showcases. I mean, that's wow. It's head spinning. The amount of things that people can or should do if they're young and they want to get in the business.
Yeah, a lot of teachers of acting nowadays, they teach the business side now and stuff because, when they were young, they had no one to teach them. They had to just, roll the dice and find out on their own.
Exactly. You know, and learning by doing it is great, but to teach it when you haven't done it for a long time is, you don't want to do that.
And your health is good?
Knock wood.
Knock wood. That's
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine for an 88-year-old man. I'm great.
88.
No, I'm not 88. No, I'm fine. But thank you for asking. You and my wife are the only ones.
My pleasure, Stuart. I thank you so much. This was amazing.
Man, you asked some great questions, and that doesn't always happen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I love getting feedback about that. I've been doing shows lately where I don't feel like I feel like it's going well for me, but not going well for them. And I'm like, am I a boring interviewer?
No, you do your homework. You seem to know your stuff, and that's the way it should be.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Stuart. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
And God bless you. Have a great day, and maybe I'll see you when I'm out there.
Absolutely, I'm here.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too, pal. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Stuart Pankin. Ain't he a cool dude? Thank you so much, Stuart. Oh my God, you're an amazing man. Very nice, very complimentary, and you got great stories, and you're very funny. I can't tell you enough of how great you are, sir, and I appreciate your time today. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Till next time, this is Tommy Kovac. This is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.